Thank you very much, Jordan. Thank you, Christine. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much. I love to hear your enthusiasm and your bright voices. Of course, happy Sunday and happy Mother's Day. Happy I almost saw the Aurora Borealis last night day. Eric and I were talking about it as we were setting up this morning, and he said folks could see it all the way down to Arkansas, which made it even worse that I couldn't find it. But he did mention that, a funny thing, I guess, your phone camera was actually better able to see it than our human eye. So people who saw the post or whatever were able to kind of hold their phone up and see some of that. So it's very interesting. Interesting times that we live in. So, of course, again, good morning to each and every one of you, and wishing everyone with all of my heart a very happy Mother's Day. And how is it that you might wonder that I can wish everyone a happy Mother's Day, even to those who are not mothers? Well, it is because the origin, the original intention of the lady by the name of Anne Jarvis, who established Mother's Day, she specifically chose the singular possessive Mother's Day rather than the plural possessive Mother's Day. The difference is really just the placement of an apostrophe. However, either before or after the S. So before the S is personal, while after the S, it is communal. So rather than a day for all mothers, it is actually intended instead to be a day for each one of us to remember and honor our own mothers. Now, I am, of course, very aware that for some folks, the relationship with their mother may be difficult, could even be somewhat painful. So the invitation today is to bring to mind a person or a being that defined for you those nurturing aspects, those loving qualities that we tend to associate with motherhood. It could actually be a coworker, it could be a nanny, a teacher, an aunt, a neighbor, even a pet. And it could even be a person, it doesn't have to be a woman, though a person that defined for you and helped you to actually feel love, unconditional love and acceptance for exactly who you are. That being, that person, that it could be, like I said, even a pet that helped you to actually feel that unconditional love. And if even only for just a moment, the divine feminine, that nurturing and radical acceptance, again, that we often associate with moms. So I'd like to do a little bit of an experiential moment with us this morning to simply take a moment, close our eyes, drop into our heart space, and allow a moment for that feeling that you encountered at some point in your life with that being that made you feel that complete and total acceptance, that love and that nurturing. So let's take a moment and just breathe. Drop in and perhaps allow into your mind's eye either a face or perhaps a moment in time. It could even have been a place where you felt that complete acceptance, that feeling of being nurtured. And of course, it could have been your mother, but like I was saying, whatever that being is, whoever that being of light that helped you to feel unconditionally loved and accepted, feeling the warmth in your heart. Just breathing and being with that moment in time or a place or that person. It's not really an intellectual activity, although we might allow the mind's imagination to allow a picture or an image, a face. And that person, that there was, or that even a pet or that moment or that place, there was no judgment. There was no commentary. There were no decisions, to-do lists, or agendas. That person was teaching you presence, or maybe that pet, or it could have been a moment when you embraced a tree in the forest, and you, at that moment, there was no judgment. You didn't need to be different. You didn't need to change anything about you. Past did not matter. There was no worry about the future, what you're going to make of yourself, all these kinds of things. There was just presence. There was just love. There was just acceptance. And as you feel that in your heart, at some point you can release the imagery, the imagination, and just stay with the feeling. And what's important to understand is that though we are using a memory to access, this feeling is very much a present moment experience. It is always with us. It comes from our own divine feminine. It comes from our own capacity to love unconditionally, our own capacity to nurture, our own capacity to be fully present. And this feeling is always available to us. And it comes from, as I said, our own divine feminine. These beings that we have encountered that helped us to feel this, they're not giving us something as much as it is bringing our awareness to what is already inside, what is already always available to us. And this is the gift that our moms or these beings who have shown us those aspects of motherhood, this is the gift that they embody for us, this unconditional love. These beings who see us not as an ever-changing maze of concepts and ideas, emotions, experiences, and conditioning, but who see us as we really are, our true essence, our light, our beingness, our love. They see only that. They don't see the scars, the wounds, the belief systems, the attachments, the avoidance. They just see our light. And when we can see ourselves through their eyes, we can find comfort in that beingness, find comfort in that presence rather than external things like money, objects, accomplishments, daydreaming about a better life. All those things lose their importance when we stabilize and cultivate that divine feminine in our own hearts. And so let's take a conscious breath together, breathing in and releasing. And as you release, come back into the here and the now. And thank you for letting me guide and share with you this little experiential moment, dropping in and just being with that presence that has been exampled or modeled for us at some point. And of course, the disease of the mind, right, is like instantly goes to, oh, well, I'll never have that again, or, oh, I didn't have enough of that when I needed it. The egoic mind always wants to quantify and qualify. But is it not true that once we have felt that, once we have experienced that, you cannot unexperience it? So just the fact that it happened perhaps for a brief moment of time may be all that is necessary to know that there is another way of being that even exists. So when you feel the need to comfort, return to this. Come back to that. That is their continuation in us. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh likes to say, the second coming of Christ is not another being showing up. It is the flowering of those teachings in everyone. And so we find that divine feminine, we find that unconditional love, that gift that was modeled and exampled for us. We find that in ourselves, and we radiate and share that with everyone that we meet in every moment that we enter into. The divine feminine, complete acceptance, a state of being, if you will, of peace and joy and equanimity. This is the gift of our mothers, or these beings that provided that for us. We experience it that way. That is their legacy. That is their continuation. They are not gone for this. They're not gone from our energetic consciousness. This is their continuation. So make no mistake now that the divine feminine is in no way limited to women. We all have masculine and feminine energies within us. In the yogic practices, these energies are known as Shiva and Shakti. They are known as Ida and Pingala. They are known as yin and yang. And so we have all of these within us. The left side of our body is considered our feminine side, the receiving side, and the right side of our body is considered the masculine or the giving. Honoring and connecting to the divine feminine is an act of devotion, not only to ourselves, but to the divine feminine, the divine mother, if you will, the essence of all creation. It is a sacred connection to Mother Earth, to the very energy itself of giving birth. And please understand that when I say giving birth, I'm not talking specifically about birthing children. I'm talking about birth of ideas, birth of expressions of creativity, birth of dreams, beauty, and yes, of course, life. It is our own personal capacity to love and create. We are creation, therefore we must create. So we have these aspects of masculine and feminine, and today the celebration of Mother's Day, yes, of course, is to honor each and every one of those beings that displayed and modeled and exampled that for us, but also to celebrate our own capacity for yin, or the divine feminine. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of those qualities. So in Eastern philosophy, in Buddhism, in Taoism, Confucianism, in many of the yogic and Vedic traditions, there are 4 basic substances that we attempt to balance. And these are recognized within the Buddhist practice as well. And these 4 basic substances are qi. You might recognize this term from, say, for example, Tai Chi or Qigong. So many of the Eastern practices and philosophies that incorporate qi, blood, yin, and yang. So these 4 substances, we are always working to balance. Again, you'll notice this concept in Buddhism because it is the middle way, the middle path. The Buddha experienced the extremes, all the way from a lavish life of a prince, knowing all the luxuries that a lifetime could offer, as well as asceticism, where he would try to survive on 1 grain of rice a day. And so these extremes, he came to understand that it is the middle path, it is the balance, it is the open palm where we find our true nature. It is in this balance. So we are always balancing these 4 things: qi, blood, yin, and yang. Qi and blood are probably more obvious. Qi is the energetic component of the body. That energy, that consciousness, the firing of cells and synapses within the brain. And of course, blood is the blood component of the body, bringing nutrients and oxygen to every cell within the body. Yin and yang are a little lesser known substances, though very familiar. Most people are familiar with this. So let's unpack these 2 now and go a little further into an understanding of these qualities. Conceptually, yin is rest. It is the feminine aspect of our being. It is rest. It is gentleness. It is a slowing down of pace. It is quiet. It is intuitive, it is soft, and it is nighttime. Conceptually, yang is that masculine aspect or aspects of our beingness, and that is quickness, fast pace, active. It is masculine, it is forceful, it is giving, and it is daytime. So what does the yin aspect within the body, what is that comprised of? How does that manifest? So let's bring our focus down now to the divine feminine aspect of each and every being on this planet. Yin is the fluid component of the body, refreshing, cooling. It cools the energies of the physical self. The yin is the fluid that supports the joints. It is the fluid in the discs of the spine. It is the moisture that plumps up muscles and skin. It is the coolness that keeps the mind from racing and allows us to sweat in tiny, imperceivable amounts to regulate the temperature of the body-mind organism itself. Even though it is slow and slow-moving and subtle, the yin keeps us balanced and stable. How does one build or cultivate yin? How do we make and save these fluid aspects or components of the body? Well, many folks, and some of you will notice this right off the bat, many folks have depleted their fluids by working way too hard, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Many people do not get enough sleep and rest. Many people are doing way too much in the course of a day. The classic sign of the fluids being depleted in someone is that they become very wired, is kind of the term that we use. There might even be a jitteriness to their beingness, kind of a constant looking around and, always reacting so quickly to things. They don't remember this sensation of being tired because they use caffeine and nervous energy to accomplish their super long to-do list. And they have a tendency to get sick when they go on vacation, and their body actually has an opportunity to slow down and to find a degree of depth and presence. And that's when they oftentimes get sick or ill, because the body just kind of gives up and releases. And at that moment, things have a chance to maybe take hold. So now let's flip that. What changes can we make in our daily lifestyle to cultivate, build this yin, to embrace and offer a devotional recognition and honor the divine feminine in our lives? Here are a few things that you can do. I forgot to make a copy of this, so I'll make a copy and put it at the back, but I'll also post it on our Facebook page. So don't worry about trying to capture all of these. Just sense and feel into these. What you will notice is that most of these are opposite to what we do all day, every day. That's how you'll know these. So here are a few. Fall asleep before 10 p.m. Rochelle and I have this little joke that we always text to each other: nothing good happens after 9. Those of you who binge watch Supernatural while eating popcorn, right? You know what I'm saying. Sleep in a very, very dark room. Sometimes having those little masks or things to help blot out the light. Because believe it or not, we still absorb light through our eyelids. And this can sometimes bother our depth of sleep, our ability to access that REM mode. How about this? Waking gently in the morning. How many of you have one of those, gas-powered alarm clocks? Get that sucker going, and man, when it goes off in the morning, you jump 3 feet out of bed. This is very disruptive to the yin component. They actually make alarm clocks now, and even settings on your iPhone that begin very softly and work its way up to actually kicking you out of the bed. So maybe take a look and invest into something like that. Try to avoid rushing. Stay hydrated. I learned from one of my teachers, he used to buy those little $1.50 bottles of electrolytes that are flavorless, and he would always add it to his coffee, to his tea, to his soda pop, or just to his water, and really cultivate hydration within the mind-body organism. Get your fingers in the dirt. Plant something, grow. Be in the yard, be in nature, hug a tree. Take time to actually listen to all the birds in the morning instead of jumping up and starting your daily routine. Be out of cell phone range as often as you can. Volunteer at an animal shelter and be with our little furry companions on this planet. Spend time with animals, even if you don't own one. That's why maybe volunteer to shelter and give them some love, and you'll be surprised how much you get back. Try not to think about work when you leave, when you go home. Stay fully present in the moment. Practice gratitude. Limit fearful moments. In other words, take caution with what you consume. If you're taking in images of horrific events going on around the world, or scary movies, things that can cultivate fear within you. Be cautious of that. Be loving and caring and kind with what you're taking in. You are the gatekeeper of what you consume visually, taste, through the mouth, what you hear and listen to. So all of these kinds of things, and here's my handout I forgot to make copies of, so I'll set this here, and maybe I can get a copy over there before you get too far out the door. So all of these things, it's kind of funny because in many cases they feel like the opposite of what we kind of do on a regular, automatic, reactive kind of a way each and every day. So again, the divine feminine and cultivating that within our lives. It is the lack of stillness in our lives that throws us off balance. We do need both the yang activity, but we also need the yin activity to create balance in our lives. This is one way that we can cultivate within us the divine feminine. This is one way that we can honor our mothers and those who have represented that for us in our lives. Again, thank you all so much for being here today.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'll